208 caravan operated by the Army Parachute Association based in Netheravon, our home base. This is Wiltshire, not very far away. It is currently flying at 2,000 feet above sea level. And if you look really carefully, you see Private Matt Botwright, the display jump master today, be leaning out the door. He's about to dispatch 2 wind drift indicators. These were collected yesterday, which is amazing because they do take some time. So there they go, 2 wind drift indicators thrown out of the aircraft, and then the plane with the pilot, Ross, and also display jump master going to be tracking those down, and they're going to look to see where. So this is where the display jump master earns his money. So he is setting the pilot up. The pilot is listening to what the display jump master has to say. He's doing the assessment, and then he's going to 2, 1, big cheer. So any second now you're going to see smoke coming out of the aircraft. Don't worry, that is not the aircraft on fire. That will be Lance Corporal Anthony Sangerhead Highland. Okay, there he is, and he's gone. Let's go. That's quick. There's 1, 2, 3. That's a free fall route down. So in the Lance Corporal Cameron Gibson. So we'll have a uni army flag and a private Barney Martin behind. So there you got the guy in the smoke with a TSA flag. Okay, that is Corporal Eddie Rudd. And he's setting the lead in, he's going to set the pattern. And then behind him you'll have Lance. Is he going to reach the tee? Guys, I'll give him a big cheer, get him down. And there it is, Corporal Eddie Rudd from the 1st Battalion Royal Regiment Fusiliers, first one down, setting the pattern. And then behind him, you have Lance Corporal Anthony Sangerhead Highland, flying the Army flag. This is Private Barney Martin, his first demo of the season with the Tigers. Slightly different jumpsuit, setting herself up for a nice landing. Bit of wing wanging. Go on, give him a big round of applause there. Down, and you have Private Matt Botwright, who is now going to be downplaning with Private Will Sims. There they go, they turn their canopies down, screaming down to earth. A downplane with 2 sides, absolutely fantastic work. This is what makes us different from the other display team. And there's a split. Just probably about 600 feet, that was a brilliant split there. Sergeant Frank Miller flying the uni flag with smoke. And then you also got Private Jacob Jackson flying Canberra behind to get the fantastic footage to your social media. Here comes Private Matt Botwright coming into land. Is he going to get on the tee? Oh, look at that landing, a little heel kick there. Followed by Private Will Sims.
Turboprop light attack observational aircraft. It was developed way back, actually, back in the 60s for, as I said, counterinsurgency. Primary mission there was what's called a FAC, Forward Air Control, FAC. And it would do everything from artillery, and it was produced as a target tug. So at the back of the aircraft, you can see there quite clearly, it's got like a round boot, and you can open up that door. It's like a clamshell door, and what they do is they put a winch in there with a big long steel, would come up, and they would practice their air-to-air shooting and try and hit the windsock. So that's why the aircraft's got all those flashes on it, to make sure that they know that's the airplane, don't shoot at that, please shoot at the windsock. Half a kilometre behind me. You see that good roll rate as well. It's got a really, really crisp roll rate. It generates a lot of lift even at low speed, so that gives it ideal loiter times. It means that you eke out the fuel, and also you see that unique T-tail and that boot. Stay up for a long time, and it's perfect for that roll. That noise you hear, it's not the actual engines making that noise, it's the tips of the...
We're going to get a picture. Still got.
crisp roll rate. You can see how he slowed it right down, and then down almost 45 degrees. Trying to keep the speed as low as possible in the dive because he wants to be able to land on. Gear down, and that's a nice slow approach. So imagine if there was an airfield out there you want to get into. That's called a K-Sound approach, named after a famous battle in Vietnam where they were surrounded at the airfield, so they had to go really high. That was the aircraft to carry a lot more weaponry. It carried 2 machine guns, up to 400 or 500 pound bombs, or 32 rockets, or a mix of both. The aircraft currently in this configuration, you can see that on the wing it has 2 100-litre tanks, and that's the smoke system. Using those 4 hard points, 2 on each wing. Strike Master wasn't actually operated by the Royal Air Force, it was only an export version. Not just here, not just in Oman, but also in Ecuador. Master has a long lineage. It came from a long line of aircraft dating back to the Hunter. You don't have to be at height to eject. Watch as they come in for the split. Just the action with the Omani Air Force, also the Ecuadorian Air Force deployed the Strike Master. There was a brief war back in '95. This aircraft has remained relevant for many, many years. Throughout the world it's operated in Botswana, in Ecuador, the Ivory Coast, Kenya, Kuwait, New Zealand, Oman and Saudi, as I said, also in Singapore, in South Yemen and in Sudan as well. To show the build quality of these aircraft. Now watch as they continue this max rate turn. I'll go all the way around the 360, crossing over at the back. But then once they come back around, you'll see it'll be a perfect circle. They'll keep the spot where they crossed over in the first place and then come straight back. There you go, right in the middle. That's where the smoke comes very handy for 10 Bronco does observational work. Because it's a piston and won't be able to carry the fuel load that these aircraft have. That was around 1,400 miles. These aircraft have covered a range in excess of 3,000 miles. Now obviously that would be greatly reduced once you strap on a load of bombs and weapons to it. But if you need to move it around the country, it is very it's the Strike Master pair. This is their signature leaving note. You can see the wind is pretty strong up there. It's blowing their smoke left and right. And there they go rolling out, clearing the airspace. Beautiful.
living memorial to those that served, honouring and promoting the courage and bravery of those that came before us. As well as her involvement in D-Day, AB also flew 4 sorties in August 1942 during the fierce aerial battle in support of Operation Jubilee, the Dieppe Raid. Post-war, AB flew as an air to the BBMF in 1965. PZ 865 there. Last but by no means least, PA4. If you would like to keep up to date.
Now coming in from the left is the Yak 50. And, this aircraft is a highly aerobatic display aircraft, as we're about to see. Flown today by Paul Farmer. He used to fly, there was a team called the Yak 6, and there was a formation team. This year the aircraft is performing as a solo. And we're going to see a lot of barrel rolls, aileron rolls, loops, wing overs. Very nice aircraft this. I did a lot of flying on the Yak 52, which is a 2-seater variant of this. Basically the same airframe. So it's powered by a 9-cylinder radial engine. Lots of power, 400 horsepower. Super seconds, 5-6 seconds max. And then you really want to flip the aircraft back around the other way. So you're going to have a lot of problems. I particularly like flying this aircraft because it had a system on board that if I ever forgot to lower the landing gear and I came in for a landing, about a third of the wheel at the controls. As I said, he's a search and rescue commando. He's flying normally the Augusta Westland, the 189. Now as he brings the aircraft back around up into a half cubic, he's going to roll the aircraft back out, come back down the display line, building up the speed all the time. 10 meters. Very important that when you're renting space in a hangar, the smaller the aircraft, the less you pay. As I said, it's got a 9-cylinder, we'll call it M14P, air-cooled radial piston engine that's developing flights high up the knife edge, and that's cross controls now. He's leaning in the aircraft to say hello. Now that's the engine you can hear. So listen for the change of note. You'll hear these jet engines spooling up as the aircraft starts to climb. There you go.
Wow.
So he's not using the jet engines all the time, he's just introducing the power from them as and when he requires it. And looking at yesterday's display, it was mainly when he was going up into the vertical. He introduced in a second. So that's more than one complete rotation in a second. Clearly here the jet's coming into play there as he goes into the vertical, staying inverted. As you'd expect, a full inverted fuel feed on this aircraft, so upside down is not a problem for him. When some of the earlier aircraft he had, he can stay upside down if he wants. Playing with the throttle, rolling right then left, then snap rolling the aircraft around to his right. Reducing the jets, so they're taking some of the strain now, laying off on the rolling the aircraft. This is torque roll, so the rotation of the propeller is making it roll from right to left, and then at the top just flattens it out. The aircraft doesn't lose any height at all, just stays at that same height. Normally when the aircraft comes over the top like that, it drops down and it starts to lose height. Because of the power from the jet, that just keeps it up there. Snap rolling, coming back down 45 degrees. Now again up into the vertical, straightening it up, coming back around from what could be a half cubic, but no, he just flick rolls it at the top. Right hand rolling. There he goes, powering back, watch. There's the jet engines, now he's standing on the rudder and then flicks the aircraft around in its own axis twice. No other, 3 times now. Yesterday he did it twice, today he did it 3 times. No other aircraft I've ever seen does that maneuver. And that's because when he goes up into the vertical, he's using the right hand rudder to keep the nose pointing in one direction, but using the engine to turn it, and then when he releases the elevator and ailerons, as I said earlier, that gives what gives him the more control, especially in the rudder. It's very important because you generate so much gyroscopic motion from the engine that you need a big rudder. Think of it as a steering wheel on a car at the back. Make sure the nose is pointing in the right direction. Those ailerons on the wing means you can do that, snap roll it. You know, like when you get behind it, like a Porsche or one of those big old turbo cars, all in the air. And that slow rotation is from the rotation of the propeller, gyroscopic rotation, turning the aircraft and then pulling back on the stick, and then you come back over on itself. It's ideal for this conversion because it's a very strong, rugged machine. Control column right between his legs. They make it so it's just above the height of his knee cap. He has it specially fitted, means he can get both hands around it when he's doing these high force maneuvers. They're commonly referred to as T6 or Harvards, or in America they call them Texans. If you see a J on the end, then you know it was built by the CCF company. It was thought, but they can't prove it, it was shipped to Europe and assembled in the United States Air Force Maintenance Depot. That's where most of them were done, in Burnwood, and then flown to fit the Harvards out with a mix of guns and rockets and napalm bombs. And when they were still in Mozambique in 1975, unfortunately when they left the country and it was granted independence from Portugal, they left this aircraft behind and it just sort of started to rot away. Early 95, the aircraft was then sold on to Tony St. John, and he delivered it up to Liverpool Airport, and it was kept at Liverpool until it departed there in 99. It's been around a bit, it's been based at several aerodromes, including North Weald, before returning back to John Lennon Airport in 2017. Funded by the government, so you have to make sure that these facilities are used, use it or lose it, as I say. So make sure you go down there. All the money that is raised is used to keep these aircraft flying and entertaining us. Being inside a glass house, there's, you know, metal everywhere, and it's also an acquired skill. Although it's got a big radial piston engine, it's not overpowered for its size, so you have to plan ahead. These aircraft, as you can imagine, is not a cheap exercise. On average, they are displaying to over 3 million people every year. That's pretty impressive. And bear in mind that's in the UK, they're not leaving the shores, so. And split. So, according to my readings, now that leaves the space clear for the Wasp to do his thing. He's going to come back in from the right hand side. This Navy Wings Wasp HAS Mark 1. Very distinctive shape. Its designation is a medium-range anti-submarine torpedo carrying aircraft, but the Wasp did a lot of other jobs. Normally deployed on frigates and destroyers. And when it first entered service with the Navy, it was on a system called MATCH, which stood for Medium Range Anti-Submarine Torpedo Carrying Helicopter. So it would be the job of the ship to detect the submarine, and then they'd launch the helicopter, would go in that general direction, and launch a radar-seeking torpedo to try and dive. And HMS Plymouth launched Westland's Wasp Mark 1 helicopter, and HMS Brilliant launched another Lynx. The Lynx attacked the submarine with a Mark 46 torpedo, also strafed it with its jimpy, and the Wessex also fired on the Santa Fe with a machine gun. But the Wasp from HMS Plymouth, as well as 2 other Wasps from HMS Endurance, fired what's called an AS-12 anti-ship missile, and that scored hits. And the Santa Fe was so badly damaged on that conning tower, and you saw the holes, that the crew had to. The last Wasp was finally withdrawn from frontline service in 1988, when the last of her frigates, in which the Wasp was designed, was decommissioned. So really you could say it was the ship that was decommissioned and the Wasp carried on, but they decided with the advent of the links coming online, and as it always is in aviation, technology moving on, better, brighter, smarter, the links took over from the Wasp, which had its day. This aircraft, Golf Charlie Uniform India, was, when it was in service, XT420. Thank you for coming down from Yeovilton. For the last time, she's going to take her little bow. As she slowly backs out, pitches down to say goodbye. Find out more about the aircraft from www.navywings.org.uk, and massive thanks to all the guys up in Yeovilton and Navy Wings Heritage Flight for sending us this unique naval helicopter. I know there's a lot of ex-Navy pilots here. Around 1934-35. So when the war started in 39, everybody thought, wow, this is old, it's biplane, we don't need it, we need something different. But they didn't have a choice, so they had to use it. And then what they found out was that the aircraft was very, very efficient at attacking the new German Navy. Also, it sunk many battleships throughout the war and continued to serve for a long time throughout the Second World War. Powered by a Bristol Pegasus 9-cylinder radial engine, you haven't got many options. It only cruises at about 100 knots and maximum speed going downhill 200 knots. It has approximately a 4-hour endurance and a crew of 3. Not very nice working conditions inside. String bag. Now remember back in the day, now this is a long time ago, like 60s, 50s, your mom would go shopping and she'd have this shopping bag that was made out of string that could sort of, you could get everything in it and it would just expand. Well, that's where that came from. The pilots call it a string bag because it could accommodate practically anything. A 1,600-pound bag, also torpedoes, mines. As I said, Sid leading the team in, Simon, Sid Sherrill, and straight. Like myself, he's a keen motorcyclist. And not like myself, he's a skier. Lives over in Cardiff now, just the other side of the Severn. He's number 2. We'll see Simon and Pete peel bike as well through Sahara, Marrakesh, and joined the team back in 2022. Mary Gwyneth is a GA pilot. He used to fly in also had a Judd Provost, Strike Master, we saw them earlier. He had a Vampire, a Venom, a Hunter. Into the burst. Raven number 5 is Rusty. His father was teaching him to fly gliders at 11 years old. In 46 years since then, he's accumulated over 15,000 hours on 70 different types of aircraft and helicopters. That's pretty phenomenal. 15,000 hours in itself is impressive, but on 70 different types. Flew in the Balkan crisis. He had 67 combat missions under his belt. He flew the Hawk and Sea Harrier before taking up his flying role in uniform when he was the boss of the Royal Navy's Fixed Wing Standard Organisation. So he displayed the Sea Harrier for 2 years, also flew the Swordfish that we saw earlier, the Seahawk, and routes that pretty much puts an end to any display flying. Came back to the UK in 2020, and he's now returned to his military roots, once again travelling the next generation of, or training I should say, the next generation of. So you can see all team members highly proficient, and that shows how they just stick together, flying as one as they do a big barrel roll in the sky. Then number 6 moving out to the right hand side, so watch as he comes back in. They're going to peel up and then peel away individually. And that leaves the scene open for 1 and 2 to come back in. They're pulling up. Sid Sherrill leading Pete Wells as they go up into the sky, and this is a special message from Team Raven for everybody here at the English Riviera Air Show. I want to say how much they love being here. In the shape of a heart. Get your cameras ready. They're going to pitch the aircraft up, roll over on their back, and then burst in all different directions at the top. So pitching the aircraft up, roll gently, and as they come down into the break. Ladies and gentlemen, Team Raven. Very good. I have to say, before I forget, because I'm probably going to Jay Mitchell's design from the Spitfire. So with so many variants of the Spitfire design, as I said, over 24 variants, this is probably one of the best. This is the PR-19, the photo reconnaissance version, again a Griffin powered aircraft. Answer. Wasn't until late in 41 that they really had the first of these aircraft to roll out the production line. From 42 onwards, the aircraft started to join the Fleet Air Arm, and in November of 42 their first combat use was during Operation Torch, which was the Allied landings in North Africa. Also used for the Allied invasion of Sicily, and then movements happening. They were also heavily involved in that campaign. You know the old saying, if it looks right, it'll fly right? Well, that's the definition of controlled and ground attack, again, because it can carry such large loads, napalm bombs, rockets. Served with UN forces in North Korea. So as you'd expect with the aircraft-based airplane, it's got a lot of modifications. Toughened undercarriage, to fold wings. Oh, I just love that sound. You can fold the wings up. So it takes up less space on the ground. That former US Navy pilot got hold of, a gentleman called Tim Manna. And then it was rebuilt properly by Kennett Aviation. And if you ever get down to Yeovilton and you get a chance to see this aircraft up close, you will see a world-class restoration. It is like it rolled out of the factory. Everything is immaculate on this aircraft. She's new as well, relatively new to the airshow circuit, only starting in 2022. Her first show was up at Shuttleworth.
2023 Royal Air Force Aerobatic Team, the Red Arrows! Red 1 pulling the team up now at over 4G, and they arrive at over 400 miles per hour in that wall formation, which is stretched about 200 feet from wingtip to wingtip, as they collapse into 8 Arrow, reaching a height of over 5,500 to 6,000 feet. Red 1 brings the formation in 8 Arrow around to the left. Red 1 is squad leader Tom Bolt. As the team roll out, keep your cameras on the formation for a dynamic formation change. As 7 and 8 perform a rollback and change the shape from 8 Arrow into Vixen. 20 miles per hour, making the controls even less responsive, which makes the job of staying in formation even more tricky. However, as the jet accelerate now through 200 and 300 back up to that 400 miles per hour, the controls now become even more responsive and more twitchy, which means it's a different skill set to remain in formation, as Red 1 brings the formation around to the left for the Apollo presents. On the left-hand side of Red 1 is Red 3, Flight Lieutenant Tom Hansford. Tom is also in the first year on the team. He is a former Typhoon pilot, and he was also a qualified weapons instructor on the Typhoon. As a weapons instructor, on the right-hand side formation, all the way out on the edge, is Red 4, Flight Lieutenant Ollie Suckling. First year on the team, a former Tornado GR4 pilot, a former Hawk qualified flying instructor. And those familiar to air shows will know Ollie Suckling as a member of the North Wales-based Strike Master pair.
Why do they sound like that?
The reason why we fly it by ear and not by eye is because obviously the people on the outside of the formation have a larger circle to go around when we move left and right, and it means that those guys form in the tornado. The command is given by Red 1 for 7 and 8 to roll. The aboard call is made as 7 and 8 roll around the rest of the formation. Of course, Red 1 doesn't want to make it too easy for the rest of the team. So as he brings the formation around to the right, the colour goes on. He bends the formation round to the right, making it even more difficult to fly the formation for Red 7 and 8 and continue those rolls in a matched rhythm and rate. You may see that the aircraft are flying with their air brakes out. There's a small door underneath the aircraft at the back. This means that the throttle is set at a higher setting, therefore making a hot. Get your cameras ready for detonator. As Hannah Brake, you will have heard that tone in the middle of the radio transmission. That is actually Red 6 talking to Red 7 and 8. He uses the tone so that he doesn't speak on top of the commands. Each aircraft passing within 100 feet of each other, they disappear ahead of us as they perform the goose. In it gathers, the coloured smoke comes on as Red 1 brings them around to the left-hand side. As the aircraft pass, you will see that each aircraft has a smoke pod. That smoke pod is taken to repair. Once again, come back to the middle. They perform a series of rolls called the double rolls.
gee, this means everything about them is now weighing 5 to 6 times heavier than you and I are as we stand on the beach. They reach approximately a height of 2,500 to 3,000 feet as they mirror each other in a manoeuvre called the boomerang. Each aircraft now 60 degrees nose down, they roll the correct way up before once again passing in the middle at only 100 feet distance apart. Blue smoke comes on, they roll around the red smoke for the Hannah break. Red 6 off to our left, red 7 off to our right, with red 8 smoking red up and over the top. The synchro pair once again will pull up. The red goes on from red 1, he performs a series of rolls around the formation, leaving the infinity symbol in the sky for the infinity break. But Peyton, Tomei, it's been an absolute pleasure. Please put your hands together for the 2023 Royal Air Force Aerobatic Team, the Red Arrow!